in effect in the movie. If you anybody seen this movie, Jagger? Because you'll see there's a lot of talk there about his warrantless wiretaps that he was doing for the White House. Well, when I was put on trial, they figured, these wiretaps will come out and will reveal that we're doing all these illegal wiretaps. So they got his number 2 man, William Sullivan, to steal from from J. Edgar Hoover's personal files these wiretap records and put them over in the White House so they wouldn't come out. Why did Hoover have them in his personal files? Because it showed the president was ordering illegal wiretaps, then illegal, as is in the movie. They didn't mention me, but that was the main thing they were after. The movie shows that when he dies on May 2nd, a date I remember, it's on 1972, I was on trial then, his secretary is busy shredding all these personal files because Nixon says, I want those files. Get them immediately. And before they could get over there, she's shredding the files. Now those files are in particular files of these illegal wiretaps. Why did the White House need all that stuff? A, because it was blackmail on members of Congress. He wanted it, not just Hoover. Blackmail on reporters. Blackmail on their sex lives, their everything, their financial deals, everything. He wanted that. Above all, it was illegal orders by the president, which Hoover was blackmailing him to keep his job. Nixon wanted him out of there. He said, no, if I go out, I'll have to tell. And it came out just 2 weeks ago. Nixon's transcript of his grand jury proceedings where he's quoted as saying, this man, if we get rid of him, he may bring the whole temple down. He's saying, again, that was my wiretap stuff and other stuff. His later attempt to kill me on the steps of the Capitol a year later, on May 3rd, to incapacitate me totally, done by the Watergate people who were later in the Watergate, who had earlier been in my doctor's office in a criminal burglary, and now, eventually, after they tried to incapacitate me and decided there were too many friendly people around at this rally, that they would be caught. So they threw that, and that night, May 3rd, 1972, they cased their next job, which was the Watergate. And when they were caught in the Watergate, they now had stories to tell about the president that would bring him down or get him prosecuted. So the president had to commit new crimes of obstruction of justice, bribery, $140,000 to Howard Hunt, others to the others, all crimes of obstruction of justice, to keep them quiet in front of a grand jury about what they had done for the president to keep me quiet. This web of blackmail on which the government runs, and which the NSA right now, listening to everything on our email, our faxes, with the help of first illegally, totally illegally, and then with the help of Congress, trying to make it fun. They have blackmail capability on every member of Congress, every source, everybody that can help. Okay.
Betsy Rose needs her sound system. She needs her sound system.
Am I going back? Oh. Wait. Am I okay?
Yeah, you're fine. She needs her sound system.
You want a different sound?
Yes.
Sounded fine.
Betsy Rose, who brought the sound system, has to go to Oakland.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel.
About 10 years ago, there was what amounted to a coup. It wasn't a military coup. Hello? Can you hear me? Okay. There was a coup, essentially, by the Bush administration, starting, by the way, with the election. And what should have happened to prevent George W. Bush taking office by virtue of the Supreme Court overstepping its bounds in its own presidency, and by the mobs of people who stopped the count in Florida, there should have been a general strike in this country at that point. And what people are learning, I think, in this movement is a potential eventually for a general strike, and I'm going to give you a precedent for that very shortly. But what came was that the
Louder, please.
Story, which is very well known, even if you know my name, is that the war, which was continuing, well, let's go through all that. The president was faced when people began telling the truth, starting with John Dean, who was plea bargaining, become a very good guy, but at that point he was plea bargaining, and he told about the burglary, he told about other things, including what was called the Houston Plan. It's not in that movie, but it should be, where the guy in the White House was proposing. A guy in the White House named Tom Houston was proposing to the president that they coordinate the CIA, the FBI, DIA, the military, police, everybody. CIA forbidden at that point to be a national police or to work internally. So they did profiles of me. Hello? When they did a psychological profile on me to see what my vulnerabilities might be, they were violating the law at that time. So Houston proposed to do everything: open mail, warrantless wiretaps, all this stuff. All the stuff that's now legal after the Patriot Act, after the Bush and Cheney, and now Obama. The fact is that everything Nixon did against me to keep his war going and to keep his nuclear threats going, which he made the year after. Yes, I use a nuclear weapon against his country. All of that is now legal. Going into a doctor's office, burglars from the White House, going to CIA, doing profiles and operating directly with the FBI and other things, with the NSA, the warrantless wiretaps, all that's legal now. Even the attempt to incapacitate me totally. We just saw an American citizen, Anwar al-Awlaki, who has been subject to no charges and no evidence. Who knows what he may have done? I don't know. You don't know. But the president decided on secret basis, judge, jury, executioner, ordered him killed by a drone, and 2 weeks later his 17-year-old son was ordered by a drone. These are American citizens. Meaning that the hit squad that came out against me, people say, could an American president order a hit squad against an American? You're looking at somebody who's subject to a hit squad. May 3rd, 1972, long time.
Louder.
Okay, but now it's regularized, and that's one of the things.
I can't hear.
Or changing.
You need more volume. Can't hear you.
Wow, okay. All right, now let me tell you that's the bad news. Actually, what that happened then was that a president doing what was then illegal was in fact facing impeachment, had to resign, and that did shorten the war by years, because if Nixon had stayed in office, the bombing would have come back and the war would have gone on for years after that. Tens, hundreds of thousands more people getting killed. So telling the truth, their fear of further truth ended up by making a difference in a way that was not possible to foresee. There's one person here tonight that I have to Marion Down. A young lady here that's 30 years younger than me, so that doesn't make her young. What? But I'll tell you a little story, though, about 25 years ago. Okay, I'll tell you what happened 30 years ago. Something that reminded me on Sparrow Plaza, the whole occupation has reminded me of an occupation we did on the railroad tracks outside the Rocky Flats nuclear production facility in Colorado back in 1978. And every plutonium trigger for every nuclear weapon in the U.S. stockpile, which is still 10,000, is made at Rocky Flats. And if you stop the trains that were bringing out radioactive waste from Rocky Flats, the operation had to stop because the whole process has been stopped because of the radioactivity that was created there so much. But that was years after our action. So we said, okay, we'll sit on the tracks. And what we discovered was that they didn't arrest us. until the train was coming, which was twice a week. That meant we could have a continuous civil disobedience. We were subject to arrest all the time. And that was very unusual. At that time, it was something like in invention. Usually the police, in Birmingham or wherever, they clear the streets right away. In May Day, they clear the streets right away. Notice they haven't done it here tonight because now everybody has cell phones and it isn't quite as invisible. Well, people said, well, you're not stopping the plant, you're not stopping the production because they'll arrest you. I say, yes, but they can't do it invisibly anymore. They can't do it without any protest. They have to do it over our bodies. My son, I remember when he got arrested with me on the first birthday of my younger son. He came from the Catholic worker in Florida, and he got arrested with me. And as we were going to jail, I was looking out at the tracks, and he said, there should have been people on the tracks in Auschwitz. As a matter of fact, what we were looking at was a plant that drove by. A plant that made triggers for nuclear weapons, thermonuclear weapons. Every H-bomb requires a Nagasaki-type A-bomb for its trigger. Other people here did not know that. Everyone has to be triggered by an A-bomb, which can be 1,000 times more powerful. Just to say that one of those bombs could kill 2 million people, which was the death toll at Auschwitz, if you dropped it near 2 million people. So every one of those was a portable Auschwitz. Should there have been people on the tracks at Auschwitz, even if they died, if we were arrested? They would have been under the Nazis. Yeah, there should have been. Not for everybody to do, but there should have been. As my son said when he was being sentenced, when I heard there were people here fasting on one of them 15 days in jail, he said, when I heard there were people here that were said to the country, don't do that with our consent. We are removing our consent. We have to do it over our bodies. He said, I wanted to be with those people and get arrested with them. Okay. So, there's somebody here who was with us when we stopped the first train. Oh no, she wasn't with us when we stopped the first train because she'd been with us in the earlier occupation before the train came back. She was 17. So her mother said, who was not very political at that time. Her father was very political, still is. Started what was that magazine? Very good anti-war guy. Her mother was not so political then. She was a horse, she competed in horse events all the time. And she had told Marion, okay, you've done it, that's enough, get back to your schoolwork. You've got to pass these grades, you've got exams coming up, you've done enough. And so Marion was crying, actually. She told me this, and I said, no, preserve your family relationships here, you'll have other opportunities, you're 17. Make your mother happy, and go ahead, we'll carry the fort here. So, a couple days later, after 36 inches of snow, we did stop the train. It was coming by, and actually, we hadn't expected they'd give us a train. In the same picture. Better to do it in the middle of the night or somewhere. Use the train coming. So we all got down on the tracks. One guy with long red hair lay down with his head on one track and his feet on the other. We got behind him with flags, various flags and whatnot. And the train actually stopped. It was coming slowly. And we figured that they didn't want to run over us slowly. But were they playing chicken? As they did, by the way, with my friend Brian Wilson, where the train sped up here. This conversation didn't stop. But it did stop 30 feet away, and the people got out and they escorted us into jail. So it took a long time to get us all moved in. And later that night, I got permission to go to the bathroom, and I'm going out to where they're booking people still in. And there I see Marion. And he says, it's about 11 o'clock at night. I said, Marion, what are you doing here? She said, well, we were watching on the television, the evening news, and we saw that you'd all been arrested and there was nobody on the tracks at any moment. So we thought, well, we better go out on the tracks. So they went out on the tracks in the night, and they were walking along in the tracks. A train comes by. It's the train that was coming back, the train that we had stopped earlier. Now it's coming back with the radioactive waste.
Can't hear.
My mother.
Yeah.
It's showing the head stuff. Marion is still at it. They finally decide, in order to arrest him tonight. Okay, it's interesting. Finally, one last story. That was just in 1969. Oh, my trial, by the way, was ended for this governmental misconduct, the crimes against people. Figuratively, the impeachment proceedings against the president were disclosed. Finally, thanks to John Dean and a few others started telling the truth. So they ended our trial. It was the first trial that had ever been ended before we went to the jury for governmental misconduct. 69, from then on, my hope was that there would be another movement that would stop the nuclear arms race, the way the Vietnam War started. 69, there was a movement against Miller, the war was still going on, 6 years ago. And it started what we called moratorium. And the idea of it was actually a general strike. But the person funding it, of course, didn't like, we thought that sounded too radical. So they used the name moratorium when the banks would have a day off or a day off and declare a moratorium on debt payment. Very good thing on student debt right now. The idea was that people would take off work or academy for one day on October 15th, 1969, on a weekday, not a Saturday, not a Sunday, but a work day. And we're thinking,
We need to surround the fence over there. The police are getting information for a possible move, so people can just protect the tent while Daniel is speaking. That would be great.
People can stay seated on this side and extend a little bit outward.
Yeah, bring the speaker towards this way.
I hope they won't go on for it. It'll take 2 minutes more. 2 million people marched on October 15th, and that prevented Nixon from carrying out secret threats he had made launching nuclear attacks in Vietnam on November 3rd. So the people who were sitting in the streets or standing on a weekday the way you're doing right now prevented prolonged moratorium on nuclear attacks by 40 years now. So thank you for being here, to join those people who are defending the country. And like I say, I've waited 40 years for a movement like this, and nothing else will change this country. Nothing else. Thank you.
All right.